Are we ready to rock and roll?
Jesus.
And we're live. All right,
Yes, we are.
Mr. Wonderful Finance Director, and
That'd be me,
you're
I
gonna tell
guess.
us.
Hope it ain't Mike.
Yep.
All right, so the purpose of this budget meeting is we've been reviewing the 2025 budget. And so we kind of had the reviews and asked the questions. Y'all have had a chance to look at it. We will need to vote on it at the next council meeting because it has to be passed by the end of January 31st. So we called this extra special budget meeting to see if anybody had any questions or if there was anything they wanted to discuss about the budget.
Any changes since we got this last
No.
meeting?
The only
Month
change,
ago?
is if you go to, and this is kind of an unknown, so we've discussed it, and we're going to leave the budget like it is, and then we may move a little bit of money around within that budget. If you go to page 24 of 30 on the budget, Simon had originally put in $5,000 for disposal of sludge. We now know that's going to be a lot more. Some of that was being paid for out of 5514, which is the maintenance plant, O&M, operations and maintenance. So we may be moving a little bit of that money around, and then depending upon what he has on his sludge, we'll make an adjustment at our mid-year budget adjustment. But right now, he just doesn't know what that's going to be. We just know it is going to be higher than $5,000. But other than that, we didn't make any other changes to the budget.
So did you didn't plug in a different number?
No, we're leaving the numbers like they are. Because in that 5514, he budgets money in there for some sludge removal. And so now, since we think he's going to be a lot higher with what's going on, we're going to move some of that money down to 5595 to cover some of the sludge, because we can move that internally without having to have anything approved. And then if we go over that, then we'll do a mid-year budget adjustment, because we'll know more by the end. Because right now, we just don't know.
Okay.
So, but other than that, the numbers are all still the same.
Okay, that's all I was curious about.
Michael, sorry, go ahead. Do you know what the special or the small equipment purchase is under fire department?
On what page?
I'm sorry, page 9, 5590?
Page 9,
Correct.
You got an
Okay,
asterisk.
the one with the asterisk by it?
Yes.
Okay, what we had talked about is, Gary had talked about this, is we, let me actually get his statement on that. Every year, he has to replace equipment, some of the turnout gear, some of that kind of stuff. And so he had asked that, protective equipment, and this is what he wrote. Over the past 2 years, we've been granted a considerable amount of money for protective equipment and capital expenditures. It has become obvious to me that this is going to become a yearly need. With rising costs of gear that does expire, become damaged, or we have new personnel, I believe that we need to make this a regular line item rather than it becoming a reoccurring capital expenditure. It currently costs approximately $8,300, that's 2024 prices, to adequately equip one firefighter. I'm asking for a permanent line item of $35,000 for the purchase of new protective gear to replace damaged or expired gear or to outfit new personnel. So we already had that line in there, so he already had a budget for other types of small equipment, chainsaws, things like that they have to buy. And so instead of creating a separate line item for that additional $35,000, we just added it to what he normally budgets there. So that's why it went up so much, is because we put it into that line item.
We talked about this, and I can't remember if that included any SCBA's or not. I don't think it did it? It was all, that's what it is for just turnouts
Yeah.
for per man.
So it's roughly, did I hear $8,300 to
Yeah.
outfit?
One, yeah.
One firefighter, yeah.
And all that gear goes out of date. I forget how many years, it's 10 or whatever it is, and
Right.
it's all,
Whether it's used or not.
yeah, it doesn't matter. That's,
And weren't there
that's,
some houses included with this? I think he was talking about houses too, wasn't
I
he?
think so. He did, it was just that he, instead of having to ask for that in capital expenditures every year and detailing it out, he asked for it to just become a permanent line item to be able to replace that stuff.
would you ask him, please, if he could make a subsection or something on, to kind of give us an idea of what that is? That way we can get familiar with it, because it, you know, if it's going to go like this, and next year it goes up to $85,000, and, you know, we're not going to know what's under, it's going to raise a red flag, and so I think you
Right.
need to be familiar with what it actually is.
Okay, so for his capital expenditures, of his bulk of the big one was the new life tax. He was going to replace 2 heart monitors, which were $128,000. Auto extraction, reels, hoses, and equipment, which was $30,000. Fire hose, nozzles, and equipment, which is $35,000. The training facility for $20,000, and then the thermal drone for $9,500. And then he had put in that section of protective equipment. So this $35,000 was actually for protective equipment, is what he was asking for.
Well, it's 60,
It's 67,000.
Right. And I'll have to figure out what he had originally in there as a budget, but he wanted to add it to that. So I'll get more information from him on that. Because we just took his normal number and then added that 35 to it.
yeah, it'd just be nice to have the clarification on that, please.
Yep.
Yeah. Hoses aren't small equipment.
Okay.
Michael, what is, on page 16, what is 4040?
Page 16.
Transfer for years and costs.
The fines, forfeitures, and costs.
Yes.
Um,
Ain't nothing there.
It has to do with law fee. I'm not actually sure what that is that goes in there. Because the employer contributions are what we pay into law fee on behalf of them. The employee contributions are what they pay as out of their salary. Interest is what the law fee account draws. So I'm not really sure what creates the fines, forfeiture costs, but I'll,
Looks like court costs, fines and forfeitures and court costs.
yeah, well, it's a revenue item, so,
So
yeah.
it's,
Beats me.
So
Could you let us know?
I sure will. And what we'll do is we'll have our regular budget meeting next time. So I'll answer all of these before we vote on it that night so that you'll know.
That'd be
So you'll know
great.
what it is.
It's a revenue, so
Yeah.
is it a fine we collect?
And I see, we got $107,000 budgeted for 2 police cars and being outfitted.
Yes.
Are we going to have to have 2 more police cars next year?
That was for the 2 new Durangos.
Yeah, brand-new Durangos. I mean, we used to get used cars, and it wasn't that bad, but now, 80,000 plus 82,000 plus 25,000, pretty soon it'll run into money.
From my discussions with the police chief, the old cruisers that they were buying from, I think Missouri or from the state police or whatever, they've had tons of issues with them, and once they start having issues with them, they just completely fall apart. So
That's the old
they-
Chargers.
Yeah, those old Chargers. So that's why they were wanting to move away from those older Chargers, and they're having real good success with these Durangos that they bought. They bought 2, and so they were going to replace 2 more of the Chargers with Durangos.
I understand, so they should last longer, so we shouldn't have to buy so many every year. That's,
Yeah, but I think we're still replacing a lot of those Chargers.
Just a couple questions. This is what we. When you asked him when he first started, was there any changes since then? There's only been small changes.
We haven't had any changes in Smitty's transit. This is all. Yeah, one thing that we will be looking at going forward with transit is his ARPA money is gone. And so where we were pretty much being funded 80 to 100% on transit, it's back down to 50 now. So
What line item is that?
just the transit department.
Right?
Yeah, the different, a lot of his expenses and everything, where he would turn them into the state and we got reimbursed for them.
Right.
At a higher percentage rate with the ARPA money. And so now that the ARPA money's over, we'll be getting reimbursed like 50% to where we were getting reimbursed more,
Back to normal.
back to normal.
Yeah, but he still does pretty good.
Yeah.
the transit.
We did get the money transferred over from the ARPA, our remaining ARPA money into the water department. So when we look in the December numbers, we'll see some changes there. So the water department will look better. So when we look at those, when we get to our December number.
Does Smitty actively seek out his own grant monies and so forth? His department handles
Yeah,
that?
he does a lot of that. Yeah.
He gets notified pretty much from the state. A lot of those are reoccurring grants that they give for transportation and transit trolleys, maintenance, equipment and stuff. And the feds are real good about having a lot of grant money for transportation. You know.
That's a plan.
Anything else? Any more
Can
questions?
you
No.
put can you put a new HVAC system for the odd in there?
Yeah.
I know it's a point of contention, so I just wanted to throw it out.
Have you looked in, speaking of this building,
really didn't mean for it.
on the top, the retuck and all that on the very top, is that still something that's been considered on the stone?
Oh, I haven't talked to Cassie about putting in another grant for that, but yeah, it's still on the list.
Still needs it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Some
It
rocks
didn't
could
fill
be
in on
fine.
its own.
yeah.
We need to get the people back out here that put the effigy up there for the buzzards or vultures or whatever. Remember, they came out and hung them on the sides of it, game and fish people, to help get
I
rid of
haven't
them.
seen the buzzards up there lately.
They're all over town by the crescent.
Well, they seem to move,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
As long as they're not by my house.
Selfish, you selfish man.
All right, anybody else got anything for the budgets? And this is for the 2025 budget, annual budgets. Okay.
All right, thanks, guys.
And then our next meeting, we'll vote on this, and then we'll also discuss, we'll have another meeting at 5:15 for our monthly budget meeting.
All right, and I'll have the answers to your questions. We'll go over that real quick, and then we'll go over your packets that we handed out tonight on our numbers for November.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you have any questions or anything, don't hesitate to holler at me or Michael, either one. So we'll get you an answer.
Yep. All right, thanks, guys.
Is that it?
All right, yep, that's it. We'll go ahead and adjourn our budget meeting and reconvene in, whatever, 30 minutes?